This is a lovely, tranquil setting. Now, we're not in the garden of a stately home, and we're not in a public park. This is the private garden of a resident of Sunniside called Dr. Alice Burridge. And Alice has opened up her garden as a way of raising funds for our troops who have been injured fighting abroad. Thank you very much for inviting us here to the garden. Why is it you've opened it to the public?
I've opened it to raise money for the Colonel's Fund, the Light Dragoons Charitable Trust. The commanding officer needs to raise £1 million for his 40 seriously wounded and the families of his 6 dead. This is the after effect of Operation Panther's Claw in Afghanistan in 2009.
These are soldiers from the northeast.
The Light Dragoons recruit heavily from the northeast and also from South Yorkshire. But of course there are other regiments as well who recruit heavily in the northeast. I am associated with the Light Dragoons because their charitable trust is based at Fenham Barracks. I was driven past Fenham Barracks in the bus to go to school in Fenham for 8 years. Fenham Barracks made the conflict local and Fenham Barracks made it personal.
And what's it like actually opening up your garden to really the public to come along and view it?
It's what the garden was intended to do. It was designed as a show garden to raise money for the wounded. It's not about me. It's not about Stan and his team who actually did it. It is about them, and they are what matter.
Well, Alice, best of luck. I've had a great time walking around your garden. I'm pinching some of your ideas for some of your layouts as well, but best of luck with it.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Stan Timmins is the person who put this all together. Stan, why did he get involved with this?
Well, a mutual friend of Alice asked us, Alice had been upset about the garden, wanted to get things done, and one afternoon I'd been working with Marianne Foster, a producer on radio, and I came across with her, and I realised as soon as I saw the garden, the mess, the size of the garden, the shape, and she had some plans done by someone else, and it really wasn't sustainable because it was going to be very hard to cut grass on banks and slopes and that, and the terrain itself in here was really, really severe. There was lots of substraw on the ground trying to hold up the weeds, but it was a nightmare. There was concrete everywhere, there's stone, and it had no shape to it, and I knew it was going to be a lot of work, very little access to get in. You couldn't get machinery in, everything I had to do by hand, and so I discussed it with Alice. We threw some things together one afternoon, and she seemed to be impressed with what ideas I had, and it took off from there. And 18 months later we actually were able to complete it, and she's got what she wanted. In other words, I'm the garden maker, she's the garden owner, and I was able to interpret her ideas, some of the things, along with what I knew should be done as a professional horticulturist, arboriculturist. So together she had some ideas about colour and theme and Kurt Jekyll, and I had ideas about how to structurally make things. And the budget was minimum. We hadn't huge lots of money, you know, for a garden this size, but it was going to be a challenge, and it was exciting. There's lots to be done, but having done it, I think we've achieved what we set out to do. The next stage is the plants will make it as they grow and develop.
Because obviously it's early stages. We're not through to the end of March yet, but the flowers are still starting to come through. But it is a huge site, and it's quite a steep site as well, because it occupies the side of the Dean here. So what sort of commitment and work and labour did it actually involve?
It really, for the first 12 months, it was I'd been made redundant, so it was an opening door, and being made redundant twice in my life, didn't let us down. I'm good at what I do, I'm good. And so as one door shuts, one opens, and I often say to people, never forget, don't get worried about redundancy and that. And so when I was made redundant, I'd just seen the garden about a month before I was made redundant, and it opened the door, so it kept the wolf from the door for a year, you know, because it was a long-term exercise. So it was really, my wife was, again, because I was a bit of a workaholic when I worked for local government, and I was a workaholic again because where you work on an hourly basis, normally, really it was a 12-hour shift some nights, and I used to forget about my staff because they have home lives as well, you know, my son and my daughter's boyfriend, you know, it was a family affair, because they're the only ones who would take a low wage.
Yeah. And they were all sort of pitching in to help.
Pitched up. There was a lot of voluntary work and a lot of, it was really a labour of love as well.
Yeah.
We made some money, but not a lot. In a job this, you've got to sort of balance it, you know. Yeah. That's why I went for a small. It was really an exciting time to try and, because I'm good at making something out of note, as to say, as a gardener, you know. And I think I'm spending my own money, so we're not in the south, you know. We're northeast lads.
Yeah.
Not a lot of money around, so we try and use as many things as we can, recycle things and keep things on a low budget, but it turns out well. Yeah. Some things you cannot, because you've got to go out to contract and get certain things, like some materials you've got to buy and say, well, they're specialist materials. But when you work with timber, I mean, I didn't want to bring the machinery into this garden and upset it. That's why I built the steps and the stairs, so we can actually take less out the land. I wanted to, because there was a lot of erosion here, steep as it is, you know. Yeah.
Major Mel Tazey of the Colonel's Appeal of the Light Dragoons. Do you want to tell me a bit about what the charity does?
Well, the charity is a part of the Regimental Association of the Light Dragoons, which is a regional regiment of the North Eastern Yorkshire in our recruiting boundaries. We aren't cavalry soldiers by the term, but we are serving British Army soldiers as a rule. The association, on this occasion for the Colonel's Appeal, is attempting to raise £1 million over the period of 2 years, with the launch originally starting just last November, as in November 2010. Our aspirations, I've already mentioned, is to raise £1 million in order to support our people in years to come, possibly, as they find themselves in difficult times, as situations that have arisen as a result of their experiences on recent operations such as Afghanistan and also the likes of Iraq also.
Yeah. And these are mainly troops who have come from the northeast?
They're from, as I've just said there, the northeast of England and Yorkshire, hence the Newcastle area, Northumberland, the Middlesbrough, Yorkshire areas, down Barnsley and such like. And we are a regiment which amalgamated in 1992 and formed from a Yorkshire regiment and the northeast of England regiment, and generally the whole Northern England cavalry term is what we like to call ourselves.
Right. How important to you are events like the one that Alice has held today, and the fact that she's opened up her garden to the public and brought visitors in to raise money for your charity?
Oh, it's extremely important. I think you can appreciate £1 million, though it sounds small in a figure, is quite large when you put it into that £1 million bracket. And in order to bring in funds, every small amount or large amount will help us in our appeal. Dr. Alice Burridge has been very kind to offer her services, and in particular her garden, to bring people in to show the efforts of herself and Stan, who have done a lot of work leading up to the condition it currently is in. More so as the year develops and spring becomes into summer, the blooming of those flowers will come into full light, and we will get the benefit of lots of people visiting her garden and potentially donating a little towards our cause.
Yeah. Major Tazey, best of luck with the fundraising, and hopefully we'll see you back here in the summer.
Thank you very much.
very nice what you said about Stan and he's got his plaque.